Imagine building one of America's most recognizable roadside brands around a cartoon beaver. Then imagine becoming so protective of that beaver that you start taking other businesses to court. Not because they copied your entire store, not because they used the exact same name, but because, according to your lawsuits, their mascots, colors, smiles, or overall branding might make customers think they're connected to you. That's the controversy surrounding Buc-ee's, and in 2026, the fight has reached a new level. Buc-ee's is facing growing public criticism after filing trademark lawsuits against businesses in Ohio and Georgia, including small convenience stores with animal-themed branding. And here's where the story gets strange. One of the businesses is located in a city literally called Beaver Creek. So why is Buc-ee's fighting over beavers? And more importantly, is this smart trademark protection? Or has Buc-ee's become too aggressive? Chapter 1. The $1 billion Bellier. To understand the lawsuits, you first have to understand what Buc-ee's actually built. Buc-ee's isn't just another gas station. It's a retail brand, disguised, highway stop, massive stores, huge gas stations, barbecue, snacks, merchandise, clean bathrooms, and, at the center of everything, one smiling cartoon beaver. The beaver is so closely associated with the company that seeing the character instantly triggers the Buc-ee's brand in consumers' minds. And that's exactly what trademarks are designed to protect. The trademark isn't simply about owning a picture, it's about protecting the commercial identity associated with that mark. If another company uses branding that is sufficiently similar and creates a likelihood that consumers could believe the businesses are connected, trademark law can give the original brand grounds to fight back. That distinction matters, because Buc-ee's isn't legally arguing, "We own every beaver." The company's argument is much narrower. We own particular commercial uses of our branding, and competitors can't get confused by alpalates. And Christ, by 2026, the company had become known for taking trademark disputes seriously, and comedian John Oliver turned that history into a national punchline. Chapter 2. The mascot wear. The interesting thing about Buc-ee's legal strategy is that the targets aren't always companies that look exactly like Buc-ee's. That's what makes the story controversial. According to reporting surrounding Buc-ee's trademark history, the company has filed more than a dozen lawsuits involving branding disputes, including cases involving businesses using animal mascots. And in 2026, that pattern became impossible for the public to ignore. One example is Buc-ee's, an Ohio convenience store chain. Buc-ee's argued that Mickey's smiling moose logo was too similar to its own beaver branding. Yes, a moose. Buc-ee said the similarities went beyond simply having an animal. The concern was the overall visual impression and potential customer confusion. Then came another Ohio business, and this one was much harder for the public to ignore, because the name was Beavers Mini Mart. Chapter 3. Welcome to Beaver Creek. Beavers Mini Mart operates in Beaver Creek, Ohio, and Buc-ee says the store's branding creates a risk of confusion with Buc-ee's trademark identity. The allegations focus on elements including the beaver mascot, facial expression, eyes, smile, and red-heavy branding. But there's a detail that makes this lawsuit feel scripted by Hollywood. The town itself has a long connection to the beaver. And this week, Beaver Creek officially named the beaver its historic town symbol. City officials said the decision was based on the community's history, not the lawsuit. But the timing couldn't have been more dramatic. A giant Texas travel center chain, a local store in a city called Beaver Creek, over a beaver. The public reaction was immediate. And suddenly, this wasn't just a trademark dispute. It became a story about corporate power. Because there is a fundamental imbalance here. A national company can afford lawyers. A small convenience store may not have the same resources. And even if the smaller company believes it has a strong legal position, fighting a trademark lawsuit can be expensive enough to make the legal victory almost irrelevant. That is where trademark enforcement becomes strategically interesting. Chapter 4. The real one-opinion isn't at the lawsuit. Here's the part most people miss. The power of a lawsuit isn't necessarily that you win. Sometimes, the power is that the other side can't afford to fight. Imagine you're a small business owner. A giant company sends you a legal letter. They claim your logo infringes their trademark. You have two options: fight or change the branding. For a multinational corporation, legal fees can be a cost of doing business. For a small store, changing the sign might be cheaper than spending years in court. And this is why trademark disputes can become asymmetric battles. A company with deep pockets can potentially create pressure without needing to destroy its opponent. That doesn't mean every lawsuit is frivolous, and it doesn't mean Buc-ee's is automatically wrong. In fact, trademark owners have a legitimate reason to police their marks. It can create legal complications around protecting those rights later. So, Buc-ee's has a real business argument. Protect the brand, protect the mascot, prevent dilution, dilution, stop competitors from creating confusion. The problem is the line. Where exactly is that line? Chapter 5. The Georgia Case. And Ohio isn't the only battlefield. In Georgia, Buc-ee's filed another federal trademark lawsuit in May 2026 against Teddy's Market and several related entities. The case was filed in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Georgia. The defendants later filed a motion to dismiss. Buc-ee's then requested additional time to respond. So, as of this video's publication, this isn't a story about Buc-ee's winning. It's an active legal dispute, and that distinction is important. Court filings contain allegations. A lawsuit is not a judicial finding that the defendant actually infringed a trademark. But strategically, the pattern is fascinating, because Buc-ee's isn't sitting still. It's actively defending the commercial territory surrounding its brand. And that brings us to the person who turned this entire issue into a national comedy story. Chapter 6. John Oliver There's the Chat. In July 2026, comedian John Oliver dedicated part of his show to Buc-ee's trademark battles. And Oliver didn't simply criticize the company, he challenged it. His joke was essentially, if Buc-ee is willing to sue businesses over animal mascots, why not sue him? So Oliver created his own parody character, a squirrel, and merchandise branded around the phrase, "Buc off." He even encouraged Buc-ee's to come after him, but Buc-ee's didn't take the bait. According to reporting at the time, the company indicated it did not plan to sue Oliver. Then Buc-ee's sued Beavers Mart, and suddenly the joke became even more awkward. Because Oliver was essentially saying, pick on someone your own size. Buc-ee's responded, not by suing the comedian, but by continuing its trademark fight with another small business. That contrast is exactly what fueled the backlash. Chapter 7. Is Buc-ee wrong? Now let's stop and ask the uncomfortable question. Is Buc-ee's actually wrong? Not necessarily wrong. Now let's dispel as corporate bullying is oversimplifying trademark law. The legal question is, does the store also have a cartoon animal? It's closer to. Would consumers reasonably be confused about the source, sponsorship, affiliation, or connection between these brands? That can depend on a long list of factors. How similar are the marks? What products are being sold? Where are they sold? How are they marketed? How recognizable is the original trademark? And what is the overall commercial impression? A trademark attorney quoted by explained that consumer confusion can become a central issue, potentially involving expert opinions and consumer surveys. So from Buc-ee's perspective, aggressively protecting its mascot may be perfectly rational. But there's another problem. Public perception. Chapter 8. The brand that Beckham to be the underdog. Buc-ee's built its brand partly on being different. It wasn't the boring gas station. It was the fun stop. The giant beaver. The road trip destination. The quirky Texas company that people loved. But success changes the way consumers see you. When you're the little guy fighting giant corporations, people root for you. When you're the giant corporation fighting a tiny neighborhood store, the story changes. Suddenly, the exact same behavior can be interpreted differently. That may be the biggest risk Buc-ee's faces. Not legal, not financial. And the story spreading online is incredibly simple businesses with animals. Whether that story is legally fair is almost beside the point. It's memorable. And memorable stories travel. Chapter 9. The Business Lesson. But here's the business lesson hiding underneath all of this. Buc-ee's is expanding, and expansion makes brand protection more valuable. The company is moving into new markets, including Ohio, where a Mansfield location is planned for 2028. It has also been proposing additional Midwest expansion. Every new location introduces the brand to thousands or potentially millions of new consumers. That makes the mascot more valuable, the merchandise more valuable, the name more valuable, and the trademark portfolio more valuable. So Buc-ee's has an incentive to defend it. But the larger the company becomes, the more carefully it has to choose its battles. Because every lawsuit sends two messages. The first is, don't copy us. The second is, this is how we treat people who do. And customers hear both. So what happens next? The Beavers Mart dispute is still a legal battle. The Georgia case is still active. And the broader question about Buc-ee's trademark strategy isn't going away. Maybe Buc-ee's is simply doing what every smart brand should do, protecting an extremely valuable identity before copycats can weaken it. Or maybe the company has entered the dangerous territory where protecting a brand starts looking like controlling a category. And that's the real story. This isn't about whether Buc-ee owns the idea of a beaver. It doesn't. It's about how much territory one company can realistically claim around a symbol before consumers start asking, wait, who exactly is the bully here? Because in business, winning the legal argument isn't always the same thing as winning the public argument. And for Buc-ee, the most dangerous opponent may not be another convenience store. It may be the story people tell about the company.